Buenas tardes. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, you're still awake, right? No, not really. We're gonna get you awake. Thanks for joining us. We've got another really great session lined up. I mentioned this morning that we had a bit of a future theme throughout our second day here, a sort of a talent and future theme, I would say. In the morning, talking about investing, future-proofing the network, if you like, for Mexico. Then we had that fantastic presentation from Nissan showing us obviously not only a great packaging solution, but a great team and a great young team showing the promise of future leaders, current and future leaders, I would say. And then, of course, our student session, which I really enjoyed, and I thought, it was great to see everybody mingling and exchanging thoughts and advice, and hopefully lending a hand to the next generation, and because they will be lending the hand right back. You'll need them as much as they will need you, and that's kind of in part what leads into our session this afternoon. Mexico's Got Talent. We talk about the supply chain is changing every day. The automotive industry is changing at a rate that's unprecedented, and increasingly we need, of course, new kinds of skills, new technology, and new leaders to help this. Not all about the new, obviously about equipping those of us who are equipping our teams today. And it's also not just about the tech. Obviously, it's also about the emotional intelligence, the soft skills, understanding how we can build a motivated workforce, how we can, as we talked about yesterday together with Susanna Lehmann and with Christine Cathwell, building a kind of innovation culture within our logistics organizations and supply chain teams in the automotive industry. I think we have that would all go a long way to help deal with the sort of challenges that we continue to face. So that's why we pulled together what I think is a really interesting mix here of leaders from companies, automotive and logistics, automotive companies, who can talk to the talent strategies that they have, maybe address some of the challenges as well, which we as an industry can work together on. We'll have two presentations, and then we'll have a Q&A. We're going to hear first from Hector Martinez, who's a division manager for export sales and completely built unit finished vehicle logistics for Honda de Mexico. We're also very pleased to have Maria Esther Delgadillo, who's the human resource director for Scania de Mexico. I think having the human resource perspective for this conference is particularly interesting, so we can understand a little bit more about the talent opportunities and challenges in our sector. And joining us for the Q&A and for his perspective as well is Jan Cedera, After Sales and Logistics Director at Mitsubishi Motors de Mexico. So we'll have presentations from Hector and Maria first, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. And then we'll be together for about an hour, and as a little preview after that, after we bid adieu to our to this, we'll bring up we'll have a fireside chat together with Chris Stiles and Nissan to kind of conclude our event. So that's the kind of running order over the next 80 minutes or so. I'd like to now bring up Hector Martinez from Honda to start us off on Mexico's Got Talent.
Thanks, Chris.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much, guys. I will start with this part. My name is Hector Martinez. I'm from Honda de Mexico, division manager. So I was thinking about, this event, this conference, and I thought the auto logistics teams were really awesome and creative. Let's say this is the last day of conference after lunch, and we're having all food coma, and they make an event or conference about Mexico Got Talent. So we are having British Got Talent, America Got Talent, and now we are having Mexico Got Talent. So this is really creative. But then I was aware that it was not that kind of talent, not singing, not dancing, but it was how to ensure to have the right talent in the right place at the right time. So okay, I can do it at the end of this. So I will start with this part. I want to share first our philosophy, the power of dreams. At Honda we believe in dreams that bring joy to people, driven by a challenging spirit. Each of us in Honda seek to create new values that bring dreams to life. The smile on people's faces gives us passion and courage to take on new challenges. Through the power of dreams, we will continue to share joy with our customers and society. Okay, so how to have the right talent at the right place and at the right time. So this is just some thoughts that I have, some key drivers that I think we must focus as leaders of our companies in order to achieve this part. So we need to take care of biases. We need to take care of attitude versus aptitude. We need to take care about the different generations that we are here. We need to take care about motivation, inclusion, and networking. Basically, networking is the reason that we are all here. So, okay, but what are biases? This word is kind of new for me in the last few years, so maybe for some of you it's also new. Well, biases, it's disproportionate weight in favor or against an idea or thing, usually in a way that it's close-minded, prejudicial, or unfair. People may develop biases or against individuals, group, or some kind of stuff. So how these biases affect our work environment? Well, as leaders, if we have some biases and we are not aware of them, we may be unfair with our teams. We may do not assign the correct task to some of the talented staff that we have, or we may have some issues with the morale of our team. So we need to take a lot of care here in the, we have to take care here in the biases. For some steps that we can follow up in order to avoid this to happen in the workplace, first, we need to build awareness of our biases. So I advise you to make deep thoughts of all the biases that you may have. But go, since you were childs, what kind of attitudes you do not like, what kind of attitudes you like, and which persons you dislike, and try to analyze why you dislike them. So you are aware of these biases. Also, reduce opportunities for biased thought structure by rethink self-evaluations, formalize mentorship, create opportunities for intergroup contact, widen the net when recruiting, and measure and experiment. So these are some steps that we can follow in order to avoid biases in our workplace. Also, attitude versus aptitude. So my personal standpoint is that attitude or should be more important rather than aptitude. For this case, well, we have the aptitude. These are skills that we already have or that we can develop. But in case of attitude, is how you look to certain situations or certain things, and that's the attitude that you have toward it. So it's more difficult to try to train or try to lead some of the attitude that we have on our associates. And it's responsible of us to take care of the attitude of the environment of our workplace. So what can we do to begin implementing a good attitude or positive attitude in our day-by-day life in the work? So we need to keep a gratitude journal and intentionally focusing on the good parts of the day. Some exercise that I sometimes do with some of my staff is which ones were your highs and lows of the day, and then focus on the high parts of the day. So this will increase this part of the attitude, and they will be more positive in this part. The next is reframing and embracing challenges as experience for growth. Then we have adopting a more positive vocabulary, getting good at failure and rejection, and not letting it harden you against trying. So we are humans, honestly speaking, so we need to start taking care of our activities, and if we have some failure, just learn of it. Do not get frustrated, and let's keep going with good attitude on this. And making someone else smile. So this should be part of our daily life. And if we have all of these, we will have a good attitude. And finally, if we have a person that has a lot of skills but has an excellent attitude, it will be very beneficial for our company, and we can achieve more higher targets than if we do not have good attitude. Oh, well, this is generation. So here we have a lot of generations in this room. So what are the potentials that we are having? Well, potentials and pitfalls of multi-generations. we need to take advantage of having different generations in our workplace. We need to learn of them, and we need to teach them how to improve so we can have a better workplace. So here are just some of the highlights of the generations. In this room, we have the silent generation, baby boomers, Generation X, Generation Y or millennials, and Generation Z. So what are the core values? Well, I will go generation by generation. I will try to make it as fast as possible. So in case of the silent generation, core values, they have respect for authority, compliance. They have also, sorry, I have bad eyes. Dutiful and custom. In case of work ethic, discipline, hard work, and loyalty. In case of communication preferences, they really like to have written conversation and very formal communication. And about the feedback, well, no news is good news, so that's what I heard from some of my former bosses. And take pride in a job, well done. And the stereotypes, they are old-fashioned, practical, and rule followers. Baby boomers, they have core values, optimism, acceptance, workaholism, stimulation. Some of Generation X, we also have workaholism. In case of work ethics, we have questions authority, self-centered, and crusading cause. In case of communication preference, they prefer one-on-one, telephone. In case of feedback, not keen on feedback. And in case of stereotypes, ambitious, optimistic, and wealthy. The great Generation X, of course. We have core values, stimulation, self-reliance, informally, and skepticism. In case of work ethics, we have task-oriented, autonomous, and work-life balance. I think we also have workaholism, so, well, anyway. In case of communication preference, well, we prefer direct communication, email, or text messaging. In case of feedback preference, direct. And in case of stereotypes, self-centered, risk-takers, and I do not know why they think we are cynical. Well, anyway. In case of Generation X, that it was really hard for me when I started working with millennials. It's kind of tough, but we need to know how to work with all generations. So in case of millennials, we have core values, realism, self-direction, goal-focused, and purpose. In case of work ethics, multitasking, what's next, and eagerness. Communication preference, they have text messaging and social media. In case of feedback preference, require lots, instantaneous, stereotypes, job hoppers, tech-dependent, and work-to-life. And we also have a Generation Z, which they have core values, uniqueness, authenticity, creativity, shareability, work ethics, flexibility, self-reliant, personal freedom, communication, digital natives, handheld devices, feedback preference, bite-size, immediate, real-time, and stereotypes, constantly connected, distracted, apathetic, and multitaskers. So we need to know all the generations. We as leaders need to know how to motivate our team. What are the needs they have, what they want to achieve in order that we can develop our team and we can have the better results of our team. Oh, sorry, this is not related with the presentation, but it's my car. I really like it, and I just want to share with you guys. Sorry for that. And what about motivation? Well, in case of motivation, this is a very powerful energy that drives and excites employees, which results in their maximum contribution. Setting and achieving goals, clear expectation, recognition, feedback, etc. So we need to know how to motivate our team. So first, we need to know what people want. And what's the easiest way? Because I tried to take a training for mind reading, but I was not able to take it. So the best way to achieve this is asking our team what they want. We need to set realistic goals, because if we do not set realistic goals, our team can get frustrated on that. Provide employees recognition, provide autonomy to high-performing employees. Of course, this high-performing, we should take care of them, mentor them, but also let them give us new ideas and proposals. And promote your personal growth and motivation. And well, we're all here for something. So networking is really important. So well, we all heard the advice that networking importance for our careers. So we need to take a lot of care for networking. So, and we also need to take care about it's not just my need for the networking and forget about the need of the other persons. So this networking is how to support or get mutual benefits of some relationship, some partnership, and try to avoid also biases here. Keep an open mind, because if we just have networking with the persons that we are alike, our networking will be really small. So we need to have a huge network, and this network will give a lot of benefits for all of us. So I don't think it's good to know everything, but it's really good to know the telephone of the other person that you can call to ask some questions that you do not know. So networking is really important, and this event is mainly more about networking. And I really like this phrase, that networking is more about farming than it's about hunting. So we need to take that in mind. And last but not least, inclusion. So leaders need both a diverse workforce and an inclusive workplace culture to realize the business benefit, such as reduced turnovers and high performance. So we need to be willing to give opportunity to everyone. So this part of inclusion, it's really important nowadays, and it should be really important since the past. So please, we need to take a lot of care here. So what we can do for having this part working? So we can have everyone treating everyone else with respect. Employees should be valued for their strengths, and leaders do what it's right. So if we have all these points that I mentioned, I think we can achieve to have a good talent in the right place. So if we keep, as I mentioned, in mind biases, attitude, generation motivation, inclusion, and networking, we will create ownership in our team that it's basic for us. And we will ensure to have the right talent in the right place at the right time. So just for finalizing this part, I want to share one quote of Soichiro Honda. If you hire only those people you understand, the company will never get people better than you are. Always remember that you often find outstanding people among those you don't particularly like. So this is all, and I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Fantastic presentation, or I think it was. I was scrolling on TikTok the whole time, so I didn't know. I'm joking. No, I think you hit on exactly some of the topics as referred to. I mean, in terms of building the right culture in teams, we need to understand different personalities and different generations. Clearly, we're not all the same from one generation, but any of those traits, I think we recognize within different team members, and it's important to kind of understand them, and including in complex tasks like logistics, when you work so critically together with teams, and kind of being able to understand that is so important. So great start, I think, and now taking it from Scania's point of view, I'm very happy to welcome Maria as Human Resource Director for Scania de Mexico.
Thank you. Well, I don't really have a presentation.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I just want to introduce a video. I don't know.
I think they do it from there.
Yeah. I don't know how many of you know Scania as a company. Can I see your hands? Somebody know Scania? All right. Well, we're well known. Thank you very much. Well, Scania is a huge company worldwide. We have more than 52,000 employees around the world, and we are present in more than 100 countries. And here in Mexico, we are distributed all around Mexico City with 65 points, service points. And well, we work really hard in our talent. We think at Scania, we think that everything starts and ends with people. So I would like to start introducing a video for you. So here it comes.
Detrás del éxito de esta gran empresa hay un gran equipo de colaboradores que día a día.
We have a group of collaborators that has experience and has passion for the work they do in Scania. Every part of the team is every member of the team is important to generate the quality of life, professional development with a priority. Sorry, the sound is not very good at the booth, and I'm trying to read from far behind. We have a great quality of life because we can integrate easily. Because of all of these, we have been learning because I can work together with my team, and because we have different tasks and different challenges. Because I started in Scania, and after 7 years, I'm part of the management team. I'm glad to work in Scania because it has great benefits and because I have time to spend with my family, because we work with determination based on respect to the individual and the environment with integrity. This year we were certified as best employers, and we're glad that we received this award in Latin America. We have been certified in Mexico. This encourages us to continue being the best company to work for, and we provide good services to our customers, and we are proud to be part of this great company.
No, yeah.
I think it sets the tone. It sets the right tone for what we want to discuss in this session. Before I kind of move into some Q&A, maybe I'd just ask Jan from Mitsubishi to maybe tell us a little bit about your organization and from a kind of talent point of view, where you see key advantages, maybe key challenges as well in looking ahead.
Definitely. Thank you, Chris, for the opening. We are like any other OEM in Mexico, of course, but we have the challenge that we just arose from a different transition, going into a company that was managed by FCA, going into a company that is now managed part of the alliance between Nissan and now Renault and, of course, us. And we have the key challenge of we have enough talent to spare. And we really do, and we're very fortunate. We have young people. I was looking at the graph you showed about the Generation X, and I can tell you one thing. I'm excited to work about these guys. Most of them are in the room right now. I recognize enough faces to let you know a couple of them. And these guys have a way of thinking differently. They can solve the same issues in a different manner, quicker, much more ambitious, much more fast thinking than I believe I used to be. So one of the challenges that we have is how to accommodate that talent, and I think you had it spot on your presentation as well. We need to identify what makes this younger generation stick. What makes them move? Is it recognition? Is it a job title? Is it a position? Is it the chance to go elsewhere? In terms of language barriers, we definitely have none. In terms of talent, I think Mexico is a great country for that. We've been doing cars for more than 20 years or 50 years, and we don't seem to have a problem in terms of talent. We seem to have, however, I think, a challenge in we need to be much more creative. We have the same problems for the last 100 years, logistics-wise, and we have not yet moved into a phase of innovation. And one advantage that these new generations have that we lacked, or at least I lacked, is the new tools. It's more an industry about information. In a logistics industry, in the absence of the product, information will suffice. So if you know where the specific part or the specific vehicle is located at what moment in time, you can make much better decisions. You can prohibit any kind of damages to go through. You can anticipate whatever a solution might be. And that, I think, is one of the biggest challenges, not for only of us, but for anyone who's involved in the logistics industry in Mexico. As they move forward, their creative thinking needs to be a constant, but they need to be aware that information is now the key element into which they need to be involved. Programming, big data, that is the kind of things that are going to make the current problems being solved differently. And again, it's the same old problem. We just now have much better tools.
Yeah. Thank you. Fantastic. Maria, maybe I could just start with you. In terms of just outlining, obviously, I think that the point made about there actually being an abundance of talent in Mexico in many ways, and I think I've read that Mexico actually graduates more engineers each year than Germany. So indeed, it's educated. There's a talented workforce. But where do you have any strains in your organization where you struggle to recruit, or perhaps have retention issues in places, and where would you kind of highlight them and as an areas that we might work on?
I think, well, here in Mexico, we have a huge huge turnover problem, because that's something common that it's always thing that we are continuously talking with the human resources, with my human resources colleagues. In the automotive industry, in fact, it's one of the highest turnover that we have here in the country. Then it doesn't really matter the generation, because the turnover is not because people want to join from job to job, it's also because they are having better offers. So it's a war that we have between companies actually to recruit the talent. But still, I think one of the biggest challenges that we have is that we as a company, we want things on the easiest way. We are continue thinking that over there outside there is the perfect candidate that can fit everything, the technical skills, the soft skills, and the experience, because from 10 job advertisements that I saw, 9, they require experience. I haven't even seen 3 of them that says not experience needed, right? So what about the new generations that have actually not experience? So turnover is one of the challenges that we have, that we have to face, and we are going to continue facing. So we have to work on the retention of our best employees. And I think it's something good also, because in your organization, it's a vertical organization. Normally you just have one MD and a little bit of directors and everything. Then not everyone can actually grow in the company. They can grow outside the company. For example, we have internal turnover, a regional one and international one, but I think we have to focus on develop people. That's the key for success for any company, any company really. You develop your own talent to grow, but also you can develop talent for other companies, and then maybe your company is not growing that much, but the country is growing. So I think we have to help also the people in our country to develop them, to teach them, and to make better employees and better colleagues. I think that's the challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Jan and Hector, does that sound familiar? I mean, obviously the retention issue is well cited. Is it similar? And if so, what are some things that you've done at Honda or Mitsubishi to address that?
Okay, in case of Honda, we have started some kind of program to leverage, for example, salaries and some benefits. We make a benchmark with all the OEMs in Mexico, and we try to benchmark to some specialist manager levels, technical levels, to have the exact same benefits and salaries that they are having in all the OEMs. So this was hard work. We have reduced the turnovers, but even though I think we need to sit with our associates and talk about how it's everything also in the outside. I mean, grass isn't greener in the other side of the fence. So, but we need to make them aware of what they have, what they can learn, because maybe sometimes they just jump to another part because they will have a 10% of increase, but in a year, if they remain and they keep learning, maybe they will be even higher. So we need to build consciousness on them, and also I think we have plenty of experience, maybe some of us 15, 20 years in the same position or same company, some others different companies, but we already got experience, so we need to share this experience with our associates to make them aware that the things that we are teaching them, it's for one reason, and that we want to build strong team, and that they will get their shot as soon as they are ready. But let them know that it's, as I mentioned, grass isn't green in the other side of the fence. So I think we need to implement this part, but on the other side, what we implemented that it's working, it's have a benchmark for all OEMs in Mexico, and this is working. Our turndowns maybe reduce 90% in comparison versus previous year or 2 years. And we are giving twice per week follow-up on that part in top management meetings. So we are really focused on that part, and I think it's working at least for us.
Interesting. And Jan?
I think I'm going to be the only one who speaks a little bit hypothetically. I believe it's a combination of things. I mean, of course, no one works for free, and the compensation package is a huge part of what you do for business. But in my impression, in my own experience, I think it has to do, a lot to do with leadership. I mean, the people that are most committed with the company has to do a little bit less with the company and more with the leadership. And I believe one of the leadership traits that must be a constant, and every company should aim to get this, is inspiration. If you have enough convincement or inspiration from your boss, from the company, that gives you enough fuel to keep going and going and going. It's, again, compensation package is one, inspiration is a must. And in my experience, the most togetherness I've seen in certain OEMs or 3PLs or various logistics suppliers has a lot to do with a sense of pride and a sense of ownership. Not with the company itself, but with the purpose of whatever the leader is inspiring in that specific area. I was lucky enough to have a very good boss for the last 10 years. And every time we went into the yearly compensation conversation, he always had a book with him. And that specific book talked about something that I lacked for that year, whether it was conversational skills, whether it was leadership, whether it was mathematical skills. And he had been observing me for the last 12 months, and at the end of that yearly meeting, he gave me a solution. And I like to believe in that. That helped me to be a better leader. I like to believe that helps me to be a better executive. And in that sense, I try to be at least the same as he was to me. And it turns out, again, inspiration. If you're able to inspire that one person, whether it's towards the company or towards the goal, I think you can't go wrong.
Absolutely. And in Scania, Maria, have there been specific initiatives as well to sort of address some retention parts, and be it in critical areas, training methods, for example? I mean, again, as mentioned, compensation is important, but it's usually not necessarily the reason people leave.
Yeah, well, in fact, salary is always going to be an issue because everyone always wants to have a little bit more money, so it will always be an issue. We focus on something that we call emotional salary, and it's all about the practices actually that you made to engage your employees with your company. In the future, we said, well, we know that in the future, no one will like to work at a company which is not friendly environmental, for example, right? With a company which is not really into diversity and inclusion, or into the human rights, for example. So it's going to be changing continuously. What we do actually is that every year we see the main causes of turnover, and we made an action for the turnover. But something that we are actually made in this year is that it's reactive when you actually take actions when people already left the company, right? So because they are already out of the company, then we need to ask our people that is staying why they are staying actually in your company. What is that motivate them to stay and not go to the other company that may offer you, I don't know, a little bit more salary, or what is actually what engaged them to your company? I think that's a crucial thing that we have to do. And also, talking about the generations that you were saying, it's really important to focus in each generation. Not talk about generation. Each people have different needs, for example, right? So we have, for example, the medical insurance with specific benefits. I don't know, for say so they paid for the, I don't know, for the mothers, for example, right? They give an amount when they go to the hospital and give birth and everything. But what about the single people? That we are paying actually for that, but the single people that are not, or they are not even willing to have children, then we're actually losing our money or spending money in something that they won't really need and they won't really appreciate. So we have to focus the different benefits that we have in the different needs that our employees actually have. So don't throw the money to the garbage and focus it in order to fulfill the needs of our employees, or most of them, right? That's what we are doing.
Did you want to add something, Hector? Sorry.
No.
It was mentioned, obviously, about innovation and building an innovative culture where possible in the company. And I wondered if in either of any of your organizations you have either made changes to the organization or to the structure. We talk now a lot about agile organizations, obviously doesn't always work in logistics because of, that's more of an IT function, but nonetheless, much more kind of, let's say, bottom up or self-organizing teams where possible. Is it applicable in any of your organizations? Have you looked at the structure of how to change in these cultures?
In case of Honda, I think we try to balance the organization, but it has a big division, like the office work and the plant side work. So it's a little difficult to balance, but even though we are having good talent on both sides, plant side we have a really good staff. They have different motivations, but we need to balance that part, and we need to take care of that part. And our philosophy is that everything should be equal. So it's very hard, but we need to work on that.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting. Actually, it would apply for Scania in some ways as well. Mitsubishi is part of an alliance now, newly. So this multinational alliance here in Mexico. So there's multi-levels of culture and overlap, I'm sure. Scania, of course, a Swedish company, but part of the Volkswagen Group. So as an aspect of the group, and again, maybe with the difference here with a different presence in Latin America and history than in other parts of the world. To what extent does that really play a role in the work that, from a human resources point of view, and how you organize and work with your teams? How important are those cultures of the company, if you like, of the different layers, if you understand what I mean?
More than important, I will say challenging.
Yeah.
Let me speak from my own experience. We are a Mexican established company who represents a Japanese brand who belongs to a French corporate. And when you speak to the crowd, when you speak in Mexico and you go into a meeting, we Mexicans, we Latin Americans have a sense of taking everything personally. We do. That's just a trait. And I'll say we make very bad business people. We take everything personal. It's not about the business. And you need to identify this in order to be efficient. You need to get the emotions out of the way. You need to understand that it's just business. Now, it's very easily said. And I'm sure if I raised a poll in this room, whoever got mad in a meeting with his boss or his coworkers, probably everyone will raise their hands up. And that's the thing that we as Latin Americans need to learn first. And I think other countries have it very clear. Speak of the Japanese. Japanese culture is all about efficiency. It's never about getting personal. And it's not that these guys don't socialize. These guys are the kings of socialization. They do what they call I forgot the Japanese word for party. I think it's called, I'm going to remember it in a second, but these guys are heavy workers, and they're heavy socializers. They keep it together, but at their individual time. And then you have the French style, which I believe is very efficient, very strong versus Latin American style, and enables us to be flexible in the sense of who we deal with, which phase do we have to put on. So I won't say it's a hurdle. I think it makes you a stronger person, a better professional, but definitely there's a lot of loops that we have to jump through to be better executives. And if I could, to anyone in this room, again, the lesson is don't take it personal. As you avoid this, as you're able to get this out of the way, you'll find a much better efficient person, and as a consequence, a much better efficient company. That I'm sure.
And from Scania's point of view, does it play a role? There's this sort of the Swedish aspect, the Scandinavian heritage, or the German organization. Do they play roles or challenges as was outlined by Jan?
Well, Swedish and Germans, they are really different. But one of our core values is respect for the individual. And the thing I really love from Scania is that our core values, they are not just in the wall, hanging up in the wall, and that we clean them. It's something actually that we believe in. Since the very top position to the other positions. So as we really believe on that, we think that we cannot actually apply our governance, our policies, like locally. They have to be tropicalized. I don't know if the words exist in English. Tropicalizar, I don't know how to say it in English. But we have to adapt them actually to the culture. And that's how it appears in our procedures, in our policies. And I think that's the best thing of the company. It's diversity. That's it. It has diversity. It's not just as female and men. It's not just as, I don't know, nationalities. It's about like sexual preferences, religion, different needs. Diversity is key of success for every company. We have a specific program that we are developing. In fact, it's a global program. It's called Skills Capture, and it basically talks about skills capture of the different personalities that we have at the company and the different ideas and how can we actually make a better company complementing the skills of someone with the others. And I think that's one of the key factors for at least Scania Mexico. And I think for most of companies, as much diversity you have in your company, it will success even faster, I think. Because imagine all the people thinking the same and having the same ideas, then where is the think about out of the box, right?
Absolutely.
So that's why we're...
It's come up several times in the conference over the last 2 days, some of the case studies that we've shown where they've tried to introduce an innovation or new change, and the key things was changing minds and the need for those different perspectives in an organization to actually help to get there. And it's not always so easy, but I think most of the people here, at least in principle, would echo that benefit of diversity. Whether or not our companies and teams are as diverse yet as they can be is perhaps another question. Any comments or question from the audience? Of course, you're welcome at any point to yes, great. We have a question or a comment right here. The microphone coming behind you.
So, again, my name is Roberto. I'm working for a packaging company located in Durango, Mexico. So I have a couple of questions for you guys. My first question is related to the norm 35, that is the new norm in Mexico. So what is your company doing to implement this new norm in Mexico? And my second question is, your company is going to allow the women in your company to do not show up next March 9?
Oh, first question, honestly speaking, I'm not the expert on the human resources part. I will be lying if I will give you an answer. Regarding your second question, we are checking how is the interest of our associates in participating or not on that part. If they want to participate, this is just my imagination. Maybe Honda Human Resources will approve, but this is just my imagination. I do not have the official standpoint of this part.
Are they gonna get paid today?
I can give a lot of comments of logistics and all of that, but human resources, I don't want to lie.
Well, regarding the 35 norm, we are. I think it's a really good one if you see it from the positive side. It has been. I don't know if the time it has been appropriate for the implementation. But as I said since the very beginning, we are a company of values, and that's something that we have been already managing from a global perspective. So in the case of Scania here in Mexico, it haven't been really a challenge because all the things that were in there, they are already in place in the company. So we are already good with that.
Just for the benefit of some in the room, briefly what Norm 35 refers to?
Yeah, sorry. It's a norm that actually I think everybody knows because it's in the radio and everything. But it's all about the psychological health of the employees, and it has been said that it's how happy are the employees and everything, but it's not really on that. It's really taking care of the psychological aspects of the
values
employees.
as well.
Well, regarding your other question, we are, as I said, respect for the individual. So if our women want to join the movement or they don't want to go to work, they are free to do so.
the last one. Regarding, I think I had lunch with you too.
Oh yeah, we did.
And regarding the, you're gonna give me a heads up about the question. Regarding a norm, yes, 35, we are much more inclusive into that. The way we deal with this is constant Q&A, constant questionnaires, one-on-one interviews, cross-leadership interviews. It was kind of new to us, of course, but I think we've been very clear in terms of what we need and what we need to avoid to have a much more cleaner working environment. And regarding your specific question of the day of the 9th, I can tell you I don't have a human resources position as of yet. I know we're having internal committees to identify which areas should and should not to make the business as usual. But my understanding is we don't have yet a formal position for that.
Thanks for your answers.
Sure.
Okay, thank you for the question. In terms, Hector, starting with you, if we were looking at, let's say, the current and upcoming generation, what are some of the kind of hard skills, the new hard skills that you would sort of recommend, maybe whether it was the students here earlier to be kind of focusing on, or people newer into the industry, be that in maths or be that in coding, or I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but are there new hard skills that you believe the industry will need more of and maybe is lacking right now?
Okay. Well, tough question. I'm a mathematician, so I study actuary, so I love numbers. I like to, when I have interviews for new staff and so, to request them for human resources part that they have skills, Excel skills, also that they have a kind of numeric analytics in order that they, maybe not so just 1 + 1 is 2, but why is 2. Try to give, if we are having more shipments, why we are having more shipments. If we ship out 100 additional units, okay, that's the number, but why we make that additional shipment? And also what I request, it's English, because we're having our basic customer, bigger customer, it's American Honda, and global language for Honda, it's English. So what I'm requesting and I'm trying to develop on my own team, it's their English performance. So for me, those are the basic skills that I need for the positions, and I don't think there's a specific career. When I used to work in another rail company, I wanted to be in the sales team. But first time when I make an interview for that part, the human resources manager told me that I will not be able to move to sales because I was actuary and I was focused on numbers. Then I have some talks with the commercial director, and he told me, hey, I study history, so why you cannot do that? If I study history, why can you do not be sales part? Now, after that part, I started maybe challenging myself, and now I'm a division manager for sales and logistics, so I think it's not specific career, but as I mentioned, you need to have attitude, but at least the tools that I think will be very beneficial will be analytic skills, language, and try to be challenging. And what I'm seeing in the younger generations, they are eager to learn everything. If you already teach them something and they already take care of them, they want to learn more and more and more. So that will be maybe the challenge for this part. We need to keep their mind interested, show different ways, try them to teach us different ways, but those for me are the basic skills. If they have different preparation, but they can handle that part, I think it's good for my part.
So in a way, those kind of hard skills are the starting points, but having the right attitude to adjust and work and learn,
yes,
that's key. Did you add anything? I mean, obviously, you look across the whole organization, so I'm sure there's many different kinds of hard skills. But in terms of maybe if there are some specific areas that were particularly key for Scania right now in terms of nurturing more, developing, investing more.
Yeah. I will answer your question a little bit different. Mm-hmm. I can say that the skills that we can set here, that are seated down here, that will be needed in the future are needed now. Tomorrow won't be needed, or we might be needing some others. So what I would like to point out here is that we as industry, as private industry, we have to be closest to schools. Mm-hmm. So we don't have a gap when actually the students go out of school, and they were ready for 2 years before, but now they are not ready because we are already with another skill. So I will answer the question that way.
So you're partnering with schools and universities and training,
Yes.
and that's something that Scania actively does in
Yes.
Mexico?
Yes, and I think the whole industry have to do that.
Yes,
It
yes.
will be really even.
Yeah, yeah. Did you add anything,
Last
Jan?
but not least,
Yeah. We'll start with you on the next one, I promise.
my 2 cents regarding this and skills, I think I'm going to give you an opinion, and then I'm going to give you a suggestion. Opinion-wise, I strongly believe the logistics industry is going to change dramatically, and not the sense of it. I mean, taking item A from point A to point B is going to continue to be the same, but how we do that so much more creatively is going to change. How we use information to make this more efficient. How we take empty vessels from one place to another and now fill them up with stuff that was there before. That is going to change dramatically. And I think the skills of the people involved and whoever has the upper hand in logistics for the next 10 years is going to have to focus on big data management. That's my 2 cents. And again, creative thinking. And thankfully enough, Generation Y and X are really good at that. So I think it's going to be a good combination for that generation specifically. One thing that I did love about your presentation, apart from your car, is you did mention inclusion. And let me speak to you quickly about what I think will be a good match. People with ASD, autism spectrum disorder. These people are highly introvert, very good with numbers, very direct, very efficient with tasks. And yet in my 20-something years of experience, I've never seen someone involved and actively in logistics. And I think that's going to be a quite interesting experience. As companies open more themselves to this kind of experience, I think they're up for a good surprise.
Okay, very interesting.
That's my 2 cents.
I want to ask for your 2 cents right back again first on something else, which is, do you see or do you share in some of the fears that we hear about or that we can survey about in terms of AI potentially eliminating more jobs over time? And I don't mean next year or in the next 4 or 5 years, but maybe over a decade or so. There's lots of different predictions out there. Are you, to oversimplify, an optimist about AI or a pessimist about AI, or do you think actually it's possibly not even relevant in this context right now?
I'm optimistic, very optimistic about AI. I see now companies that are able to do quick inventories using drones or using RFID tags or doing things that were not able 10 or 15 years ago. I believe it's not going to eliminate that many jobs as other industries. My guess is it's going to make us much more specific in certain parts of the business. I don't think it's going to be a job-cutting decision. I think it's going to be how do we make smarter choices. And again, once we get good at doing this, whether it's cars or parts or whatever it is you're moving, you can always find more room for expansion. You can do that finding out how to do things differently. And again, one thing that I crave for the new generations is they have so many tools that we didn't have back then. And that combined with the creative thinking, I think it's going to open up a whole new world for us. I think we can do much better. Just speaking of international trade, we can get rid of so many barriers we haven't done so much. And I think technology is a tool to get that done. Not an impediment, quite a tool. So I'm quite optimistic.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the audience? No, not yet. I was wondering, in terms of almost every month, we do conferences and we cover industries around the world, from China to the US, of course, India, all around Europe. Almost every market, actually India is maybe one exception, but almost every single market has big challenge around driver shortages. So truck driver shortages, it just comes up again and again and again. I'm not actually as up to date as to whether Mexico shares some of those issues as the US. So one, is it an issue also in Mexico? And maybe starting with Scania, because obviously you make trucks, and so this would be something that maybe is interesting at multiple levels in terms of how you kind of address as a company to a kind of wider society level to kind of engage with and promote truck driving as a profession. Is that a topic for Scania?
Well, yes, it is a topic because actually in Sweden we have just launched our self-driven truck.
Yeah, autonomous, yes.
Yeah, our autonomous. So Yes, it's an issue, and I know here I talk a lot with our customers. I think something is that even if human resources have to go out of the office, they don't have just to be in the office, because then you cannot really help. So I talk a lot with our customers, and that's a thing that actually it's all around the world. I have heard it in Europe as well. But I think I was talking just in the car with one of my colleagues of one of our customers. I cannot say the name, of course, but I hope a lot of people think the way he thinks, and he's really, really, really worried about people, right? About their needs. So he has not really a high turnover, and he's not really worried about that because he takes care of what they need. And in fact, he's having so much different ideas on retaining them. And I think the key factor, again, is to think on what do the people want? Why do they go out of the company? Of course, money is always going to be an issue, but I think the closest you are with your employees, then it will be better for turnover. I don't think they don't really love their job, because they love you have to love what you do in order to spend, I don't know, how many hours inside the truck, right? So I think it's a problem right now, but it's a problem because most of us don't listen to not everyone, of course, to our people. Maybe if we listen a little bit more, then we can react a little bit more.
And Hector or Jan, do you work with your providers in any way to, and we'll get a mic over here for the next question, please. Do you work with your providers on these topics in any ways, or kind of addressing where you might see shortages with them?
Okay. What I've seen, it's there's not a lot of lack of drivers, at least the part that I handled. But all the companies or all the suppliers we have are having a lot of work on keeping the drivers that they are currently having.
So the retention.
So retention is very important for them. They have different programs. They try, since maybe 5 or 6 years ago, or maybe more, to involve the family of the drivers. The family for Mexicans, it's kind of key driver, and maybe you will laugh, but they involve a lot the wives of the drivers. So they let them know the wife, if the driver arrives late, they let them know the wife that, and the wife will push her husband in order to accomplish that part. So maybe it's funny, but that's working for them. So they are trying to involve the families. They want not just to give additional money, but give additional benefits, maybe family day, or some safety campaigns, but they are trying to involve all the environment they have. So the driver can be committed, because maybe the salary is mostly the same in all of the companies, but they want to check what's the main benefit that they are having. So for shortages, I have not heard about, but what they are doing in order to keep the manpower, it's they are focusing on the families, at least the suppliers that I'm having currently.
Interesting.
And ergonomics, I will add. Well,
Yeah.
it's not a commercial, but the ergonomics of the truck, it can help really a lot.
For the driver, absolutely. Do we have a question in the front here?
Thank you. This is Sofia Platas from Ferromex. I just wanted to ask, so each of you work in different great companies. I wanted to know, how are you currently developing the talent that you already have got on your companies? Can you share with us some of the best practices you're having for continue the development of your employees? Thank you.
Okay, I'll start. I'm really happy by joining Honda, because Honda is giving a lot of empowerment to all the associates on all levels. So they are giving a lot of free to managers to try to develop. So what we're focusing, it's giving more empowerment to the associates, giving higher level activities. In the past, maybe the higher level bosses or the older one were the ones that attend meetings or something, but now we are giving incentives to our associates to go to the meeting, take decisions by themselves. some of them need to be under direction, but we are giving this empowerment to them so they can start growing. They can start building awareness of the global business, because what we try to do is not that they can manage this part of the picture. They should have the full picture on that. So I have worked in government, family business, American business, Japanese business. For me, now the Japanese part, it's really awesome, this culture, because they're giving a lot of empowerment and they are believing on Mexican associates, and I think we are having a good response. So what we are doing basically, it's giving empowerment, and we're having also some activities to bring new ideas. We have a yearly event for projects to try to improve our current activities. It's named NH Circles, so this is yearly activity, and the best projects go around the world to present in other countries, but they give a lot of new ideas. And with this part, Honda gets the benefit of new projects, maybe cost down, maybe logistics efficiency or so, but also we build some mindset in our staff that they know how to analyze the problem, check exactly what's the root cause, because common mistake that we have a problem, we have not analyzed it, and we already have 3 or 4 solutions. So what we are trying to change the mindset of our associates, check what was the correct root cause, why this happened, and then give several options in order to attack the problem. So basically, I think we're building awareness, giving empowerment, and believing the new ideas that they are having.
Thank you.
So you were asking about how do we develop our people, right?
Yes, my question was, what exactly are you doing to retain the talent you already have? So what are you doing to develop the people that you already hired?
Okay. Training, of course, it's one of the normal ones. And we have different programs which actually to show our talent to the region and to the international programs. We have, for example, this business challenge that we call. It's basically that as a country, you nominate 1 or 2 employees that you think that they are like superstars, for said so, and they actually work regionally with all the other business units in the region. For example, this one, the Regional Business Challenge. And the management team of the company set up a challenge in which they have to work. So they have to present it at the end of, it's going to be 3 months, I think. The regional one is going to be 3 months, in which they have to work together. The people from Venezuela, from Colombia, Peru, and Mexico, they have to work together into this challenge, and then they have to present it to all the MDs, for example, of the business units. This is what we do in our region. But also there's a business challenge globally, in which the president of our company and all the vice presidents in Sweden, they made the same. So we are in 100 companies, so we cannot have 100 employees, but they choose 15 employees between all around the world. They give them the challenge, and then they present the challenge actually. And the challenge has to be on something that we can actually implement in the company, of course. And then most of them get a special position between the company and other markets and everything. So it's kind of development programs that we have in order for everyone to show their talent. Even if you are in Mexico, sometimes you can think like, well, people in Sweden, they won't know that I exist because, so that's the way we develop our people, with programs like this. We have so much other programs, but it's an example just to show up.
That's a very good answer. We're, again, a much more younger company, but one of the things that I think we do very good is building a sense of ownership. We empower people a lot. We're not many people. We're only 49 people in the country, and we sell 15,000 plus in our first year. So empowering is definitely a big tool, and that we quickly learned generates sometimes frustration, and we quickly jumped into individualized coaching, and not specifically of the job itself, but individualized skills, financing skills to non-financiers, or communication skills to people who lack the capacity to communicate. And one thing that we've been very successful in combining these two is trying to, as much as we can, promote from within. So giving people a lot of responsibility, making sure they have enough traits to get that and build up the skills, and then promote within. That gives them, we believe, a quite clear sense of what to look for in the future. I think that's a powerful combination.
Well, fantastic. I think that's where, that's the positive note that we'll end this discussion on. I think there were some great examples there of initiatives, obviously, within the companies. I think the focus on attitude along with aptitude is a really key one that set the message, and I think we knew that right from the start. That is really key to our teams in logistics. Those skills are really the ones that carry us forward alongside the basic requirements and are the hard skills which we need to focus on, which we need as a basic and then to build upon. So thanks very much for everyone here for this great discussion.
Thank you very much.